Hi, welcome to Visual Effects Shoebox episode 7. This one we're going to be talking about how to actually approach a company and what to actually write and how to structure an application to try and get a job within the industry. This could also be used for any other industry as well, but pretty much tailored directly for the visual effects industry itself. So, I'm just going to switch across to the table, to the monitor and. So yeah, what is most important to get a career in visual effects? More along the lines of a how-to as opposed to what, to be frank. But yeah, totally, if you are absolutely nuts to be able to do this. So first things first is the easiest way to get a job in any industry whatsoever is to know somebody on the inside. That's it. That person will be sticking their neck out for you and saying to everybody, hey, hire this person is awesome. And problem is they're sticking their neck out for you. They are putting their reputation on the line to say that this person's awesome, so you better not mess this up, because you'll be messing it up for two people, you and this other person. So just putting this first, because this is one of these kind of like golden targets, not golden rule. I've already recorded this once and I couldn't even think of the word golden something or another. So anyway, it's the most desirable. There you go. It's the most desirable outcome, because having somebody on the inside is great, because that basically means somebody can, in essence, refer you. Simple as that. This works in business also. It's like having a referral. I mean, I am literally the worst promoter ever. Seriously, I'm terrible at promotion. But we as a company we've still managed to gain business based on reputation, and that's just purely through referral. Simple as that. It's just through referral. So referral is awesome. It gets you in very, very, very early on and makes you leapfrog other applications. Some people may see this as cheating. It's not. It's knowing how to work the system and also how to get a foot in the door very, very early on, because companies don't want to have to go through all this entire massive amount of applications if they don't have to. So if somebody putting you forward, that's great for you. It's great for them. But you've got to really, really, really thank this person and buy them a lot of drinks. Next one. Take a lower position than what you intend. Now, this basically means that if you're after a senior role and senior role's not available, get a regular role. Or if a regular role's not available, take a junior role, and then when one does become available, you'll be able to jump in, because that means that you're already in the company by that particular point in time. You may be able to renegotiate, say, for example, salary. Say I'm a senior or an intermediate artist, but I'm taking a junior position, but I'd like this senior salary until one becomes available, or kind of split the difference between the two, come to a compromise so that, the company knows that you are keen on getting in, and then stepping up when that particular position opens up, and have it in writing to say that, hey, when one does become available, you'll be the first to be considered, because you are technically coming in at a higher level, but you're taking a lower position just so you can actually get to work for that company early on. This happens rarely. It's not the most desirable, because you're not taking a position that you 100% require or so 100% want, but it does mean that you are actually in that company that you are trying to target. Just as much as, for example, cold calling people, finding out who's the right person to connect to. Just scooching back a second, actually. Not necessarily taking a lower position, but you can also take an alternate position. It doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to, take a lower position from what you actually want. You could take a complete alternate position. If you're a modeling artist, but a modeling position is not available, take you to the tracking position is available. Take a tracking position if you know how to do it, obviously. One person I know wanted to work at one specific company, and they didn't have any artist positions available whatsoever. So she took a job in HR. What this meant was that she was a assistant to the HR manager, so therefore when a position did become available for the department that she wanted to get into, which was, if I remember correctly, was compositing, she was there at the forefront to say, hey, consider me. I've been trained for this. This is what I've studied. This is my portfolio. And she's, right at the front of the queue and got in straight away. So just meant that they were actually already in there. I mean, some studios, say, for example, those in London do, they have a lot of runners, for example. And guess what they do? Run for things. So people will basically, go fetch coffee and stuff like that just so they can get a chance in working on a shot later on, which I don't really agree with, to be honest. I think it's a silly, if you're hiring an artist, you don't want, you're hiring them for their talent, not for their ability to run. That's kind of daft, personal opinion. I've never been a runner. I wouldn't, hire an artist who has talent to be a runner. I would get them onto something. Even if there wasn't any work available, I'd get them onto something. So at least training and getting the people into the pipeline, and not with the potential of actually being able to use the kit at the end of the day, but actually being able to sit and, develop themselves. So when something does become available, and it will be, because, all studios always go on crunch on jobs. So they will be up to spec. They'll be up to speed, not having to go and fetch coffee for some a-hole, which happens, I think it's a waste of talent. Personal opinion? There you go. Okie dokie. Next one. Cold calling. So if you are going to cold call a company, you really need to find the relevant person to connect to. So, this goes about also sending out emails as well. So if you're sending multiple applications, make sure that you are tailoring it to the right organization and or person. There's no point in actually sending out an email or phoning somebody in the IT department and expecting them to forward your application to someone in HR or to a supervisor or to the lead compositor, because they won't know, A, who to connect, B, they don't have any direct experience of like whether or not your showreel or your application is any good. So them putting it in front of somebody, say, hey, this guy has contacted me, is he any good? And you'll be like, not even going to bother looking at it because it hasn't gone through due process. Unless that person is, directly reputed, going back to item 1, it's not really going to work. So find the right person to connect to, that you need to be perfectly honest. If you are sending multiple applications, like I said, tailor it to the organization. So if you are putting out an email to like 100 companies in a day, make sure you mention the company name, mention the person's name, do the research, spend some time and do the research as to whom you're actually supposed to be talking to. So find out the name of the person in HR, and address it to either to them, or when you're writing out the email, put dear such and such. I would love to work at your esteemed organization of such and such name, company name, blah, 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 blah. Don't just make it a generic one. If you make it a generic one, then we all know when you've done a direct copy paste, because half the time you've either not got the font right, or the language is just so generic. It doesn't make us feel loved. We like to feel loved. Like you're actually purposefully wanting to work with us or whomsoever, kind of thing. The other thing is, like I mentioned here at the bottom, send them one by one. Don't CC or, and I'm just going to hide myself here, bloop, BCC, blind carbon copy. So that basically means send each email one by one by one by one. Don't do like a send to yourself and then BCC every single studio or every single application or every single HR address, because we know when you've done this, especially if it's been put to individual people, and the reason for this is that it doesn't feel personal. It's just a blanket spread. Spend some time and just send out individual emails. It's not difficult. It's blanket sending out to everybody as a BCC is basically just pure laziness. So you want You want to have that particular application hit the right spot to the right person. So do the reference and do the research and put that information directly into your email. Okay. All right. Next one. Advertised application. So when you are actually replying to an actual job advertisement, make sure you follow the instructions for the requirements to the letter. Okay. So if it has information on there as to whom to send it to that person. Don't deviate. Don't send it to somewhere else. Don't send it to any other email address. Send it to that one particular application directly. Otherwise, you'll get lost in someone else's inbox or some other auto-forward inbox that you'll never see again and you'll never hear back, okay? Don't expect somebody on the other side to go, oh, this is wrong. I better put it to the right person. They're not gonna. They're gonna go, trash. And that's the last you'll ever hear of that. So follow the requirements for the application. So if you need to answer certain questions on the application, answer them to the best of your ability. If you need to have a qualification, and you don't have one, give reasons why you don't have one. But state in there, look, I've got this amount of experience. I have this amount of, I've worked on this film, and so on. And that will leapfrog that qualification requirement if anybody in HR has actually got the slightest brain in their head. So tick all the boxes, make sure you've got every single criteria and every single requirement listed down, like if your showreel has to be tailored, or if you have to send in a PDF of your resume that's like no more than one side, then make sure you've done that. Make sure it's addressed to the right person. Make sure you've done that. Every single thing. Don't cut any corners whatsoever, because this really is a mini test. This is a test to see whether or not you can follow basic instruction. These are the requirements to apply for a job. If you can't even follow those requirements, you're going to fall at the first hurdle, because when it actually comes for you to take instruction or to take comments and inputs from supervisors later on, if you can't even follow these instructions, how on earth are you going to be able to follow instructions later on? So there's a big alarm bell rings there, to be frank. Okay. So when you are emailing, as I mentioned, make sure you do the research and ensure that you're sending the email to the right address. Otherwise, it will get junked. I'm pretty much reading out what's on screen here, but this is true. I'm just going to hide myself again here. Ooh, wrong button. There we go. Right. So don't expect it to be, for someone outside of the hiring process to forward your application to the HR department. If you can't follow basic instructions, an alarm bell is ringing on your application. So basically what that means is if there are several email addresses available on the website, like one is information, one is HR, one is IT support, one is PR, one is news, or whatever it may be, make sure you do send it to the right email address. Don't send it to every single one of them, because that's just, you'll hit the spam filter and then you'll get blocked. So make sure you send it to the right one, and don't expect someone who is maintaining the info inbox to forward it to the HR one, because they'll just trash it, because again, you have not followed the basic instruction of sending it to the right email address. Chances are that info one is just forwarding to certain key individuals, and those individuals are not going to be part of the HR team. So they won't, the right people are not going to see it. So make sure you get it to the right people. Okay. Okay. Right. Next we come to cover letters. Now, cover letters used to be back in the day, like when you used to send you used to send a DVD out, or you'd send a VHS tape. And back in the day, we had to send out VHS tapes, and duplicating those things were a pain in the bum. So they're about this big, okay, with the case and all that stuff. So because this would get separated from your resume, because they basically just stripped that, put that there. You often had to have a cover letter to complement the two, to attach the two. If you didn't have your name on the DVD or the VHS, and just something to introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm looking for this particular type of position. I have this much experience. I've been in this industry for so many years. I've worked on this film, this film, this film, so on and so on and so on. Nowadays, you don't need to send a cover letter. Just make sure you actually have that information structured the same way in your email. There's no point in actually sending an email with a separate cover letter as an attachment, because it's a waste of time. It's totally a waste of time. Just put it in the email. Please see cover letter attached. You don't need to attach it. Just put it in the email. It's simple as that, because your email is the cover letter. Just the trick is to get someone to open it. So making sure that you've actually got the title to stand out. Even breaking it down in the title, saying, referring to reference FX role, standard level, 5 years experience, application within the title. Some of it in capitals, so it's standing out, so it's attentive. So in somebody's entire massive inbox of like thousands and thousands and thousands of emails, yours is going to pop out and drag someone to open that email. That's step one. Getting someone to open your email is going to be step one. Second thing, reading the cover note. Third thing, either clicking on that link to get you to get them to view your show reel, which is what I covered yesterday, or to view any attached portfolio. Attachments are a bit of a grey area, really, especially in this day and age, depending on how they're being viewed, how that email is being viewed. So within the mail itself, you want to get to the point. You don't want to waffle. You don't want to, like I do, you don't want to drag it out. Be concise, get to the point, say what you want, say what experience you have, key points, bullet points, okay? Bullet points of your resume. Don't drag it out, all right? So get to the point, don't waffle, be casual, but not overly casual. Don't say, bro, hey, bro, give us a job, yo, blah, blah, blah. No. I've had emails sent through, say, hey, bro, give me, I need a job, give me a job. Like, number one, I'm not your bro. I'm 46. The only person who can really call me bro is my sister, and she's 4 years younger than me. So it's like, why would you call somebody very, very, very casual familiarity? It's especially when you want a job from them. It's crazy. So don't be too casual. Say what you're applying for. Say exactly what you want. Not just like, give me any job or give me a job. Just be specific of the sort of thing that you want to apply for. All right. It's an effects role. You have so much experience. Say how good you are, why we should hire you, what makes you stand out, what's different to you than anybody else. Okay. Your availability, like, okay, I need to give a month's notice, or I'm available from next week. I've got plans to go on vacation, or so therefore I'm available from the 5th of the month, or whatever it may be. Okay. And then finally a link to your showreel or portfolio. Email attachments, you don't really want to kind of include too much, because otherwise it's, they can be too big, and as a result, large attachments, especially if they're being viewed on like mobile devices or whatever, people still are like, anything over 5 meg, they don't really want to kind of download, and you can't really showcase a great deal in 5 meg, to be frank. So you really want to just give links to things, and don't force attachments down people's necks, because especially if people are viewing things on mobile devices, they won't still, even in this day and age, they won't download them, because it's an extra button for them to press, or it's it feels like someone's literally throwing something right in their face. Look at this, and it's kind of invasive. It's kind of rude. It's because you're forcing someone to either download something already, or it's a little bit, rude. It can be a bit rude. It can feel a little bit rude, actually. So have links to things. Let the person who's viewing it view it at their convenience. So I'll give you a couple of ideas on samples and sort of things that we've actually had through before. And Yeah, this actually happened. Subject, no subject. It's like, okay. And then another one. Inside, sir, give job. Oh, okay. What job do you want? Do you want a VFX supervisor role, or do you want to, work in the kitchen? Do you want to work in accounts, or do you want to, I don't know, wash the cars downstairs or something? Security guard, receptionist. What? Be specific. Say what you want, and then no attachments, no resume, no information. That's it. Just give job. No subject. Give job. Why I opened it, I don't know, but that happened. All right. So I'll give you an example of something that actually did work. This guy actually got a job. All right. So just going through it bit by bit by bit. So we've got from such and such at Gmail to HR at the company address. So sent it to the right address. Sent on the date, blah, blah, blah. Inquiry for match move position. So ideally should have been in capitals to pop out a little bit. But this got the attention. Okay, first one. Hello, pleasant. All right. I am such and such, and I'm very interested in working at such and such. So, introducing oneself, great. Grammatically, okay. Some refinements here. This is not his first language. This is not his native language. So therefore, props for that. My local languages of Telugu or Tamil or Hindi are terrible, literally atrocious beyond recognition. Even languages that I learned at school, like in I was supposed to say English then, I suppose, French and German are abysmal. So I always find it very impressive for anybody who can learn more than one language. Like my wife speaks 3, and mind blown. So props for second language here. So well done. I'm such and such. I'm interested in working at our company name. So tailored for the particular company. Okay, thumbs up for that. I'm confident that my experience in match move and camera tracking as a lead. Oh, lead. Okay, so he's worked in the senior position, so therefore, can be desirable. Will be an asset to your organization. I've gained valuable experience in the past 6 years of service here in a specific company where he's currently working. Link to his showreel. Bloom. Thank you for your time and consideration. Polite again. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Please find spelling mistake, but again, second language. I can totally forgive this. The attached resume and cover letters. Sincerely, again, pleasant again. Name omitted. Phone number at the bottom. That's it. The first thing that basically got us around it was this particular, was the subject. The subject, inquiry for match move position. It was very neat, very precise and to the point. All right. Then all that rest of that, this entire thing is the cover letter. This entire thing, this email that he sent through. Bloop. Hang on, where are we? That bloop. That is his cover letter. Okay, that's what you would normally write on a piece of A4 and tape it to a VHS or something. That's what we'd have to do. So this was perfect. This was great. Happy with this, not a problem at all. That person now works for us. Simple as. Okay. So I think you saw the slide already. So attachments, like I said, attachments will only be viewed if you've enticed the viewer with an interesting letter. Again, I when I put this in, it's like, well, yes, they will, no, they won't. It depends on how big the attachment is and whether or not you're forcing it down somebody's throat. Because, like I said at the bottom, large attachments won't be downloaded if it's 25 meg or something like that. It ain't going to get downloaded, or it will bounce back to you, and your bandwidth is going to go through the ceiling. Think about how they're going to be viewed as well. If they're going to be viewed on something like this, or if they're going to be viewed on a phone, or if they're going to be viewed on a 36-inch screen. So by having things as attachments, you're kind of forcing something down somebody's throat, and also you're kind of limiting, how they're going to be viewed. If they're going to be viewed on a phone, then possibly that person's going to, the person who's viewing it is going to mark it for viewing later on when they get to a decent sized screen, because you can't really see much even on some of these newer phones with the larger screens, the Max Pro blah blah blah, whatever, iPhone 15, 17, 25, whatever it is that's out right now. It's still difficult to see a decent quality image. It's the reason why you don't do any reviews on phones. You do them on larger devices that are, color balanced and of the right color science and so on. So you don't want to do a review on a phone. So no point in forcing it down somebody's neck. Okay. Right. Next one. Again, apologies for if you can hear the horns outside. There's people, there's trucks horning now for some reason. Following up on your emails. There's no point. Simply, there's no point. If someone puts a job application out there, they're going to have hundreds of applications. Chances are, you've gone in the database, or worst case, they're not interested, or there's no requirement for you at that particular point in time with your skill set. You will be in the database, and chances are that they will call you back. We've got a database of God knows how many people, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that we can call on if we need to. So you're in the list. You've already applied. You're in the list. You're in the database, no matter how big or small. If HR's gone through, if you've gone through due process and got things right, and you've put it to the right person, and you've got the right information, and they can cull that information from that email that you've sent, you're in the list. You're in the database. That's there. Now, the primary thing here is that database will get flushed after a period of time. That, depending on the studio, that period can be 6 months. It can be a year. It can be 2 years. Because obviously people move around and they get jobs and they shift to different companies. And also they change roles. So that's not to say that particular person is not going to stay exactly where they are and how good they are. And even their phone numbers or their email addresses may change over a period of months or years. So if there's no need for that particular role in future, then there's a high possibility that database may get flushed out in, like I say, 6 months, a year, 2 years. So there's a lot of people who are applying, and there's a lot of people who are going to get inserted into this database. But again, a lot of people who will get flushed out after a period of time. So a studio may connect with you and say, hey, sorry, we don't have a role at the moment. Keep in touch with us. We'll see if something opens up later on. We'll definitely be in touch. I've had that in the past. I've applied for roles and I've not got it, but they've come to me and said, hey, we will, keep in touch with us, keep us updated on what you're doing. And so you do that. They openly suggested, hey, keep in touch. So every now and then, if you've done something cool, ping it. Say, yeah, here you go. I'll put you on the mailing list to anybody who's interested in my work. I'll give you a ping. Send me your personal email address. I'll ping you whenever something new, some new development happens. And I got some freelance work from that later on. That was like 2008, 2009 kind of thing. So keep in touch with these people. If they say keep in touch, keep in touch. Simple as that. So the other matter is that some people get a little bit antsy when you don't call them back, or you don't feedback to say, to give a reason why they haven't been hired. Now, this used to happen quite a lot back in the 90s and the 2000s. Of you used to get feedback from a lot of applications. So why didn't I get the job? What was wrong with my application? And you would get, if you're working with an agency, chances are the agency would chase up for you. Or if you were directly connecting with that particular company, they would let you know. That was then. The industry was saturated around 2002. So with so many people applying for that one single job, giving and typing out reviews of everybody's showreel, or phoning every single person saying, sorry, you weren't lucky this time around because of, and given a full critical review. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen anymore. There are so many. One job, you'll get 200 applications. So within that particular, within that list, you've got to give 200 responses, 200 critical reviews. They're not going to reply. I can guarantee you that they're not going to reply. Simple as that, because there's too many to do. Let's say they're crewing up, 7 to 10 roles. Let's say you have 500 applications or 1,000 applications. Replying back to 1,000 applications with a critical breakdown as to why you did not get the role is a lot of work. It's a heck load of work, and that's going to be either the HR manager or it's going to be the supervisor or the department lead having to give all that information, and they literally don't have time to do it because they're up against it on other work as well. So don't expect that to come through. Okay, I've had some quite antsy emails come back and say, hey, you never replied back to me because of, even though I applied for the job, you didn't even say sorry, you're not successful. It's like, well, if we've not called you, then obviously you've not been successful. So read between the lines, mate. Sorry, that's the way it is. Don't expect a direct response. If we want you, we'll call you. And this goes for every other company. I'm sorry, this sounds blunt, but that's how it is, guys. So, if people are interested in you, they will let you know. Guaranteed. They will chase you down, in fact. They will literally, some companies will even poach other artists from other companies because they want them so badly. That happens. It's simple. It's fact of the industry, fact of any industry, really, to be honest. So if they don't get a call back, try again in a few months, because during that particular period you will have developed, I would have hoped you would have developed anyway, because a few months is quite a long period of time, especially when you're starting out. But don't just sit and wait for that one particular one. They may be your dream company to work for. Okay, that's the end game. That's the end goal. Okay? But in the meantime, try somewhere else. Spend a year with those guys, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. Gain the experience, gain the knowledge, increase your portfolio, increase your credit list, and then push to this other one. You can even push it into a higher role than what you were originally applying for in the first place. That's also there. So one of the last few things I want to talk about is something, again, I'm just going to hark back to what Alan McKay mentions in his podcasts and his vlogs and his online training. And he specifically mentions this a lot. And it's something that I've also already, I've always believed in, is that, if you are trying to get a job in some particular field, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's visual effects or anything else, you have to treat it like you're a salesman trying to market a product, and you are that product. That is it. You are simply trying to sell you. What makes you better? What's this product better than this product? Why should we choose this product over that one? Okay, treat it like if you're in London, you're an East End salesman, you're trying to sell something out the back of a suitcase. What makes you better? What makes that better than this other thing? Okay, so sell yourself like you are selling something. Okay, first impressions really, really do count. So don't go in all swaggery and basically being like a complete idiot, because no one's going to want to work with you. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you go in with an ego the size of a small country, then no one's going to want to work with you, because you're going to come across as a bit of a Burke. So, you may get a job later on and you're going around with all this swag. I'm the best effects artist there is. I'm the best one. You should do it like this. You should do it like that. You should do it like me. It's like, no, you're just going to be intolerable to work with, and you will last maybe 6 months at that position before even the supervisor has had enough of you and said, look, mate, you're literally awful to work with. Go, please. We'll figure something else out to replace you, because it's just and I've known artists like this over the years. If anyone in LA is watching this, then I'm pretty sure you know a fair few, because few of the people I've spoken to over there over the years have gone, oh, you know that guy? Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, he's an idiot. Don't hire him. I won't. He's a complete tool. Reputations precede themselves. They follow. I've had excuse me. I remember having drinks in a bar in LA with Alan, and we were like, hey, you know that guy? Yeah, he's an idiot. Yeah, he is an idiot, isn't he? You remember when he did that? Oh, yeah, I remember when he did that. Christ, I didn't know about that other thing, though. Well, oh, he did that? Yeah, oh, wow. I'm not surprised, because, again, good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. The industry is actually very, very small. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of us working in this game, but we all know everybody. Everybody knows everybody else. You may know people on Twitter, you may know people on Facebook or on forums or Discord groups or whatever it may be. And some cases you may have meetups and face-to-faces and stuff. But you get to know everybody and everybody else's kind of little quirks and reputations and stuff. So you've really got to make that first impression really, really good. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to be a bit of a problem to work with, to be frank. It's like I say, the industry is very small. Good news travels fast, bad news faster. Just as much as like delivering quality of work and delivering on time. Just your personality. Also, the news of that also really does travel quite quickly, to be honest. All right. One of the last things I'm going to mention is you really need to stand out. And again, this pretty much goes out to all students who are watching this, or anybody who is starting out in the industry very early on. And that's basically, you get assignments. You get assignments on a lot of these visual effects courses, and if you're doing a YouTube video tutorial or something like that. So, but just doing what is required of that particular assignment and then sticking it in a show reel. If everybody's doing that, then everybody's show reels are going to be identical. So why should we hire you over the other person? What makes you special? What makes you different? Your show reel, as I mentioned yesterday, is something that is giving a potential employer an indication of exactly how good you are at that particular snapshot of time. So if you are better than what your show reel is suggesting, no one there is going to read between the lines and go, wow, he's done this particular assignment, this particular test. I bet any money he'd be good at putting this inside a shot. I reckon he'd be good at integrating and utilizing that knowledge without any further instruction into an actual other scenario. No one's ever said that. No one has ever said that, because you've not proved it. Because if that was true, you would have done it. Simple as that. You would have done it. What it's basically saying, showcasing tests and showcasing, results of assignments that are identical to somebody else's, means that you have the ability to follow instructions parrot fashion, verbatim. That's it. That's all it showcases. It doesn't show that you've got a single single ounce of artistic adaptation in your system, because you're just following a tutorial. That's it. If you put that item or that fact into a real world scenario, that suggests that you have some ability to be able to adapt, or even utilize that effect in some other way, some other scenario. Like you know how to do a campfire. Great. Okay, now put it in an environment. Maybe you have some magical dusk on it and it goes into a tornado or something. Use your brain and come up with something that looks cool and is also going to make the potential employer go, whoa, okay, they know how to adapt information that's publicly out there. So yeah, use that knowledge to develop fresh material. Or what's even better is actually do it in a team project. So if you're working together with if you're an effects artist, if you're working with a modeler, you're working with a texture artist, you're working with a compositor, you're working with a lighting artist and an animator. So put it together in a sequence that is going to literally blow everybody's minds. When I do these sorts of presentations, this exact presentation, when I do it in some of the schools, there's one video that I play. I'm not going to play it, but I'll tell you what it is. And it's a beautiful piece that students did at Film Academy Baden-Württemberg. And the piece is called Breaking Point. I think, if I remember correctly, they only got a title and they had to come up with something. And it's an absolutely wonderful piece of collaborative work. They live shot elements, they did photogrammetry, they did effects work on it, they did character animation in there. It's visually and emotionally engaging. It is one of the best pieces of student work, if not the best piece of student work I've ever seen in my entire career. I just saw it and thought, holy shit, I'm out of a job, because it's just so good. It is just so good. So check it out. I say it's on YouTube, and as a father of a 3-year-old now, it just hits you emotionally. That empathy between the lead character and anybody who's had a kid is just, oh my! Just thinking about it just brings me to tears. Seriously, it is just so beautifully done. It really is. I love this show. I love it. I really do. I would hire every single one of them in a heartbeat. And I dare say they all got hired immediately after that thing came out, because it must have won about 1 billion awards. And it was just such I can't speak enough praise about this shot, about this sequence. Like I said, it's there's even a making of how they did it online as well. Like I say, it's called Breaking Point, Film Academy Baden-Württemberg. I think this is from like 2012 or something. I can't think off the top of my head. So one of the last things again, so standing out, don't just compile your show reel a number of tests, put them into scenarios and scenes to showcase that you can see a project through to completion and work with others. Being a team player and showcasing that you are a team player, the fact you can work with others, is one of the most important things to showcase, okay? Because if you're just a lone horse, then within a visual effects pipeline, a visual effects studio, you have to be a team player. You can't just like, no, this is all me. I'm doing all of this. No, nobody else is working on the shot apart from me. This is my baby. You're not going to last very long. Be a freelancer if that's the case, but don't work in a company, because the company's, shared resources, shared people, shared assets, shared load to produce something that's greater than the sum of everybody's parts. That's the purpose of it. Okay? So explore other creative angles in your spare time. Don't just do visual effects. Explore other areas, photography, fine art, sculpture, cosplay, filmmaking, anything creative that's going to give you a clear understanding of light, tone, composition. Do this kind of stuff. Start a vlog if you want to. You'll understand about cameras and audio and lights and how certain things need to work, and how about editing and setting up input channels and blah 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 blah. It's, again, this is art. It's really bad, but it's art. I mean, even the background is it's not really designed, it's just kind of like functional kind of thing. I label everything because I can't find anything. I've got a memory like a flipping goldfish. So just at the end of the day, do something outside of this. Okay? Photography is great, especially if you're doing matte painting, or especially if you're doing lighting or even modeling work, because that gives you an understanding of lenses, framing, composition, light, tone, structure, form, and how to understand how things work, and not just how to frame them, but how they actually physically work. That snapshot of time is beautiful for that. Sculpture also great, because that is, in essence, that's, you know, real world ZBrush, if you like, you know. So that's great to actually get your hands onto. Filmmaking also, you know, understanding how actual lenses and cameras and settings and the terminology work. So when you're going into 3D, you understand that terminology and this terminology, they're exactly the same. Yeah. So producing something together also means that you possibly may all get hired in a single session, because it's a pre-built team. It showcases that you can work together as a team. A collaborative effort can actually generate a greater production value. Like I said, this Breaking Point short did. If you just asked the individual artists just to do individual things, they would not have produced something as good within that particular time frame that they had. But together, they produced something that was absolutely phenomenal. All right. The other thing is, don't worry if you fail. If you think you're bad, don't, because your ability to self-assess is directly offset from your creative ability. I'm going to go into a full video about this later on, because it's actually something that I talk about quite a lot, because it is very important for you to alleviate any self-doubt in your ability. You go through phases of I'm awesome, and then phases of I suck. And every single artist, till the day they die, goes through this. And there's actually an observational scientific reason for this about your ability to self-assess. So I'll go into that in detail in another video, I think. So chances are you are way better than you think you are. Okay. And don't be afraid to fail. Failure leads to learning from your mistakes. Just as I mentioned yesterday, just try not to make the same mistake twice, because just like riding a bike, if you fall off the first time, that's fine. If you fall off the second time, you've not learned. All right. And most importantly, don't sit still. Treat any course or any tutorial that you're learning to like it's your driving test. Okay, you know the basics of how not to die on the road. The rest of it is just experience. That's just time. Utilizing how to put brush onto easel, mix paint, stick onto canvas. Therefore, you are an artist. Okay, now give the Mona Lisa. So the rest of it is just experience. How to utilize that medium, that process, to produce something that is aesthetically beautiful. So use your course knowledge to drive, or any tutorials for that matter, to drive further development outside of the direct course assignments or the tutorial assignments. In other words, put that material that you've learnt into something that is yours, not just your following instructions of somebody else, yours. Most important thing. And finally, don't sit still. Okay, if you've not found a job with your current showreel or your current method of application within the first month, something is wrong. Something's gone wrong. Either you're punching above your weight, you're trying to find a job in a particular role that you're not suitable for yet, or your qualifications or your showreel is basically saying that you're not at that level, or you are way too better than that particular level you're applying for, or your showreel itself is not favorable. Like I said, go through the video that I posted yesterday. It will go through, okay, the major kind of do's and don'ts of how to structure your reel. So revisit your reel, rejiggle it around, go get second eyes on it, get somebody else to have a look and see whether or not they think that's decent or whether or not it sucks. Get someone who is in the industry, if possible, to go through your reel critically and go, yep, that's great, or nope, that shot's terrible. I might do something in the future of doing like a live session if the number of subscribers or the number of views on this channel increases and I get a decent, I've got like 3,000 people on this thing at the moment, but the number of subscribers is just kind of pooting along about the same number, give or take a few. So if that increases, then on the number of views, I'm getting about, just a few hundred views on these videos. So if it does increase, to a decent number, I might do a live Twitch stream or YouTube stream or something like that in future, and people can submit their show reels, and I will critically go through them just like we would do at the studio if we were going through a review session. So might do that in future, depends on people like, subscribe and all that kind of pressing buttons and bells and whatnot. So that's about it. I hope this has been informative to people. I'm just making sure there's no other slide after this. I think it's going to be, oh yeah, readdress your application approach, blah, 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 new material, yada, yada, yada. Don't sit still, yada, yada, yada. Make people come to you by finding your niche. Okay? Find your niche, stand out from the crowd. It's the key thing here. Just basically just stand out as much as you can, because you are going to be, a single fish in an ocean. But so that fish needs to jump up and wave a lot. I'm going to call it there. Okay, let's go back to here. Right, so I hope that's been informative. Again, gone 50 minutes. Wow. All right, okay, shutting up now. I think that's enough for the one night. Have fun. Be safe. See you next time.